You say you didn't emotionally manipulate these women, but this you're clearly describing here on your website and in these clips that your job was emotionally manipulate women. What's your response? You found that on the internet. I saw a lot of people talking about this interview as in like Andrew Tate is based and red-pilled and he knows what he's doing and da-da-da-da-da. I don't know why it says I watched half of this. I did not watch half of this. I watched like a few minutes of this interview. And that was not the read I was initially getting. And maybe that changes, but I thought I'd watch, you know, the entirety of the interview, or at least a decent portion of it before I get bored, to see if this implication I'm being given that Andrew Tate crushed this debate or this interview with a BBC hack journalist. I wanted to check in on it because people know I'm not a big fan of Andrew Tate. I think he talks about topics he has no knowledge of constantly, and he talks about it as if he knows what he's talking about. War in Ukraine is an obvious example of it. Him and his brother have been very uninformed in how they've talked about that war. They've been very uninformed in how they've talked about multiple political topics. And that's only really when I pay attention to them, is when they're talking about politics. I know they talk about women all the time, and they talk about like dating and like how to get the girls, but that's not stuff I really pay attention to. I know a little bit about the case and know a little bit about his previous public statements. But I just want to, from what I know, I want to see how this interview went, and if this perception that has been pushed on me by the pro Tate matrix is true or not. So I wanted to check it out.
So guys, Andrew's just released a new interview with the BBC. If you want to...
Who the fuck? I don't know who you are. Get out of here.
Andrew Tate.
Hello.
You've agreed to do an interview with the BBC today.
Yep.
The material's going to be...
What the heck? Why is this volume so low? Is that as high as it goes? Is that really as high as it goes? It must be a liar. It must be higher.
...published on television.
Okay, well, it is what it is.
On radio, online.
Perfect.
We are doing an interview with you because you're facing some very serious allegations.
Correct.
Rape, human trafficking.
Yep.
And also because there's a great deal of concern about the things you say and the impact that they have on young people, on women.
I don't think the concern's about the things I say. I think the concern is for the level of influence I have and the reach I have.
Turn on subtitles? Does this have subtitles? Okay, yeah, I think they do.
I would argue that a lot of the things that are already out there inside of the legacy media and the matrix as a whole are far more damaging than the things I say.
It's the concern about the influence you have being a harmful influence, but let's start with the allegations.
Not necessarily a harmful influence. The fact that I'm massively influential over the youth, and I understand that, but it's my influence as a whole which people are afraid of, not necessarily the things I say.
Let's start with the allegations. Have you raped anybody?
Absolutely not.
Have you trafficked anybody?
Absolutely not.
Hell of an opening.
Did any women for
Absolutely
money?
not.
But you...
Okay, the thing is, right, I haven't seen what the prosecution is putting forward, right? So I don't know if there's enough evidence for that he committed rape or human trafficking, right? We're gonna have to see the case go through. But when he says that he hasn't like exploited any of these women, right? He did talk about on multiple occasions how he uses the lover boy method to try to, you know, make these girls fall in love with him, then bring them out to Romania, bring them out to these locations before then convincing them, people who've never had a history in the online webcam industry, into doing that for him. That's the lover boy method. That is manipulation. That's not even talking about how he has openly admitted on video, and that's the thing that really gets me about Tate, is he admits to a lot of these crimes openly and is now confused as to why he's in legal trouble. He openly admitted that he was stealing money from the webcam girls working for him by just lying to them about their taxes, by saying that this much was taken from their taxes and then just taking it for himself, which is fraud and illegal. And I would certainly call that exploitation. And he admitted that. And again, I'm not a deep expert on Andrew Tate. This is just stuff that I've seen him say from just cursorily like observing it from a distance.
You have admitted using emotional manipulation to get women to work in the webcam industry for you.
No. Firstly, let's start at the beginning. I'm facing charges The first one you mentioned, the rape one, has already been thrown out by a judge because there's no evidence of it. Secondly, it's very difficult for me to sit here and have a very frank and honest conversation with you while we're in the territory of Romania about a legal case that's going.
I believe he's talking about a separate case that was against him for rape. I don't know if the charges for rape in this case have been dropped or not. I'd have to go back and check. If anybody in chat knows, please tell me.
Going on within Romania. I have to protect myself. I've agreed to do an interview with you, and I want to be as honest with you as possible. But I can't incriminate myself in any way, and I have to be very careful with what I talk about.
There are no charges yet.
Correct. There are no charges.
Has said that
there are no
more
charges,
evidence
and I've agreed to speak to you. But I have to be as honest and frank as I can, while also protecting myself and following my legal counsel.
So let's talk about what you've said yourself then. You have said on the website for your original website for the Hustlers University that you emotionally manipulated women to fall in love with you so that you could get them working.
By the way, when we say he said this, he's admitted this on, like, I think multiple occasions, both on cam and in text form. Like, this isn't like a debatable like fact. You could try to say that, look, this is the fault of the women for falling for it. I've seen multiple people try to defend him that way, which I don't think that's the best defense, but you do you, boo. But this is like textbook Loverboy method, and he admitted to that on camera. It's probably this is, from what I've seen, the weakest part of Andrew Tate's defenses, because if you can just play the audio or just read the statements of what he said, like, what is he gonna do? Like, say it was deep faked? Say, nah, man, like, that's completely out of context. I said before that, I said in a video game, or after that, I said in a video game.
The sex industry for your financial gain.
As I said, I have to be very careful with what I say, but let's put it this way. No women are coming out against me and accusing me of doing it.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not. Who?
There's testimony from the current investigation.
The current investigation, which I cannot discuss, which I know intimately and you don't. I can tell you right now that the women who are in this case file, there are 2 American women who have been caught already admitting they're lying, and then nobody else is accusing me of anything.
To begin with, it's very common in cases like this that the alleged victims do not always see themselves as victims.
Well, that's very interesting. It's actually extremely interesting, because if I was a matrix-controlled organization and my goal was to slander somebody and try and destroy their name, you're telling me that they've chosen...
Can I just say quickly, I really don't respect the vague them accusations. I really hate it when people like are just vaguely like, you're controlled by this vague force, and his force is more vague than anything. Like, he has made the most vague force that anybody and everybody can fall into the clutches and the tentacles of, right? And when somebody says the military industrial complex, it's kind of vague, but people have a general idea of what you're talking about. When somebody says like the elites of the market, or like the bourgeois, like, it's, again, that could be a little vague, but people know what you're talking about, an economic class. When he says the matrix, what does that mean? What is that? What is the matrix? Is it just the establishment? What there's different establishments, there's different political establishments. What is the matrix? It's just as vague as possible. It is the best example of like them type messaging of they're the evil, like, overarching power force that is like tearing me down and keeping me down. But by just saying the matrix, you never need to go into specifics. And then every bad thing that happens to Andrew Tate, even if it's his own fault, he can just say it was the matrix and reaffirm this idea of this all-powerful force coming out to get him because he has popular TikToks about how women are like trashy or whatever. I'm being a little hyperbolic here, but the matrix is operating across borders to bring charges against him because he has the brave message of, yeah, maybe be a little bit more sexist. It's just silly.
In a crime, which one is heinous, of course, because it damages the person's credibility, and 2, you're saying that even if everyone else involved, if you have 5 people and everyone's sitting there saying, no, nobody's hurt anybody, we like Andrew, we've all worked together, or we're friends, etc.
That's not what everybody's saying.
No.
Let me read you some of the testimony from the current investigation.
Can I finish, please?
One of the witnesses said...
Can I finish, please?
You're not answering the
Can
question
I finish,
I've asked
please?
you. You're not answering the question I've asked you.
I am answering the question. You're
Let
saying,
me read you the testimony of one of the witnesses.
You're saying the people who are involved in this, even if they say they're not victims, that they're still going to try and attack me and pretend they're victims.
They are treated as victims by the case that's ongoing. And not all of them are saying that. One of the witnesses says...
We can't go into the case. The case is open and active.
Well, let's just be clear that not all of the witnesses in the case are behaving in the way you describe, and even those that are, it doesn't bar them from being treated as victims by the prosecution by the case.
We have an open criminal investigation. I am absolutely not really sure I'll be found innocent. I know the case better than you. I know it intimately and you don't. I have seen all the criminal files and the evidence against me and you haven't. I know the truth of what happened and you don't. And I'm telling you absolutely not really, I've never hurt anybody, that the case that's been put against me is completely and utterly fabricated, and I'm never going to be found guilty of anything. And it's very difficult for me to answer your in-depth questions because we're sitting here inside of the territory of Romania. I'm beholden to the Romanian legal system, and I'm not going to incriminate myself because you're trying to prod me.
Dude, I still can't get over the fact that the part of the reason he said he moved to Romania is because the system there is so corrupt he could just pay off anybody if he ever committed a crime. Like, even if let's say that he's innocent of literally everything, which I don't believe, but let's say, of course we gotta wait for the course to finish, but let's say he's literally innocent of everything. Not only that he was found innocent, but that he actually is innocent, because you could be found innocent, or at least found not guilty, and still, like, not be innocent. But let's say he actually is. If anything, it's almost like godly retribution of, oh, you thought you could just go there and take advantage of corruption in another political system that you never, like, lived in or grew up in, and foster and help finance that? Yeah, no. Okay, get fucked.
You are wrong, and we're going to have to accept that for now and talk about something else.
Let me read you then what you have said about what you have done.
Sure.
You have said, my job was to meet a girl, go on a few dates, sleep with her, get her to fall in love with me to the point where she'd do anything I say, and then get her on webcam.
This is a direct quote. I've seen this quote before. Yeah, it's not good. This is one of the most condemning public pieces of testimony from Tate directly that undermines his narrative.
So we could become rich together.
I don't think that's what I personally said. I think that's
exactly what
no,
you said.
That's no, I've never said that. That's something that you found on the internet. Doesn't mean I've said it.
He did say it. Yes, he said it.
And again, once again,
like he said, like what's even like, again, he just said, oh, well, I don't know, you just found it on the internet. What type of argument? Everything, most evidence you're going to find today is on the internet. Like, I could get documents off of the internet. I can get court documents off the internet. I can get video of war crimes and evidence of all sorts of things off the internet. Could you imagine? I take a video of somebody, like, let's imagine, like, I'm talking to, I'm like holding, let's say, some Wagner war criminal to account for his war crimes. I'm like, okay, here's a video of you executing the civilian. What do you have to say from that for yourself? Where'd you get that video? Off of YouTube? Just off the internet? Would you Google it? You get it off of a little, like, glowing little laptop, a Western shilled Matrix internet? What? I bet you used the Matrix's search engine, Google, right? It's not actually responding to the content of what we know he said. It's just trying to obfuscate and distract from the point.
Any female on the planet has a problem with me, I strongly recommend her to go to the police and try and pursue me for criminal charges. It's actually very interesting that me, one of the most famous people in the world, who's been vilified by the legacy media and places all over the internet, while everyone has attacked me from every single angle, while federal agencies from multiple countries have called over 2,000 women who know me, we stand here with 0 new accusations since my arrest. 0. If you took any famous person, any man of substantial wealth, and you called 2,000...
He literally is responding to nothing she said. He's not responding to the statement we know he said, because the statement he said is an admission of what would be emotional manipulation and an attempt to traffic.
2,000 women who knew him. He'd find an ex-girlfriend is upset, somebody who wants money who's upset. They called 2,000 people who knew me and could not find a single woman to make a new complaint. The only complaints they have against me are the initial complaints, which we can prove are lies, and that's where it stands. So I'm not going to sit here and allow you to pretend that I'm some kind of evil predator, when actually I'd argue the fact that people who've been investigated to the level I've...
Somebody in... Oh, I'm sorry, I said I wouldn't read a Gutter Chat message, but this one deserves it. It's funny. This is from Boone33. I haven't been accused of anything since they accused me of all those things. Dude, I'm sorry. Can I look at let me look at the comments. I want to see the comments on this. The fact that she takes it all extremely personal says it all. An activist, not a reporter. This is one of the best things I ever seen. I almost feel sorry for this woman. He's completely right. She's unprepared with snippets and never listened to his content. She had no idea what hit her. Okay, I may, you know, I'm only 6 minutes in. Maybe it changes, but so far to me, it just looks like he's dodging statements that we know he said.
Been investigated to. If you were to take the average man on the street and investigate his entire life for 14 months, call everyone who's ever known him, and vilify him in the media, and encourage people to come forward for money, and you try to contact every ex-girlfriend he's ever had.
Would come forward and accuse those people of rape and accuse those people.
I think that you would have a lot more. I think you would have a lot more flack than I've got. I'm actually such a nice person that I've never had anyone come.
The BBC has spoken to somebody since your arrest who says exactly those things. That with you, it's all manipulation. There's an ulterior.
Is this Sophie?
Everything.
Is this Sophie? Oh, it's Sophie, the fake name, no face, no.
Wait.
Blue Rider of Neptune gave Subutai_sword a tier 1 subscription. Andrew Tate just sounds like a giant child. Andrew Tate response just sounds like a child going, I know more than you do.
I know more than you do. Nanny boo boo. Yeah, oh, sorry, I was just finishing the message. Okay, I didn't say that. That was Blue Rider of Neptune. Thank you so much for the gifted tier 1. It does sound a little bit like he's just like, I'm smarter than you. It does sound a little bit like that. I mean, it is true. He probably has more intimate personal knowledge of the case. But also he is coming from a biased perspective since he's on the case. That's why the BBC journalist is asking him about the things that are less flattering about his defense. For example, previous statements that he's made. But didn't he just say that since this has all gone down, there's been no new accusations from him? And then she's like, well, what about this? And now he's like, well, that's fake. But that's still a new accusation, isn't it? Like, when did this come out? Did this come after or before the case was brought against him and he was arrested? Does anybody know with the BBC article? When was Andrew Tate arrested? 1 second, let's look that up. When was Andrew Tate arrested? December 2022. Okay. What was it? BBC Sophie Andrew Tate. When was that? Does anybody? BBC Andrew Tate accusation, or was it CNN? I don't remember which one it was. Insider, is this it? A former girlfriend of Andrew Tate has said he once choked her so hard she passed out. Yeah, this is from February of this year. This is a new accusation. Yeah, no, this came after he was arrested. So this is the new accusation that came out since he arrested. Okay. Or is this like, I mean, is this a new? Okay, let's actually read the article quick. An ex-girlfriend of Andrew Tate has come forward with new allegations. Okay, yeah, literally first sentence. Never mind. Let's continue.
Wanting to please him and wanting him to be happy, that I was just kind of, yeah, okay, do whatever you want.
And what has she accused? Has she accused me of a crime? This imaginary Sophie?
She's making the point that there is.
Has she accused me of a crime?
Emotional or psychological manipulation.
I've asked you a question and I've allowed you into my house.
I'm asking you a question.
Correct, but you're not the boss here because I've allowed you into my house.
I'm asking you the question.
Correctly, and I'm telling you.
You get to decide the answers.
No. We're equal here. I've allowed you into my house. You don't come here with a position of authority. I'm doing you the favor as legacy media, giving you relevance by speaking to you. And I'm telling you now, this Sophie, which the BBC has invented, which there's no face of, nobody knows who she is.
The BBC did not invent.
Of course not. And because you never invent anything. And she's not filed criminal charges against me. What are we talking about here?
Hey, wait. You invented her. No, we didn't. Yeah, totally. That's it. That's the, okay. I'm sorry, man. It's all vibes, man. Andrew Tate is all vibes. From head to toe.
What is she saying?
Talking about emotional manipulation. It's the sex industry for your financial gain.
Absolute garbage. She has not filed criminal. This person, if they exist, has not filed criminal charges against me. I welcome anybody who believes I've harmed them, male or female, any point in the past to file criminal charges against me, and I will fight them. I know who I am, and I know what I've done, and I know the truth, and I know that I'll be found innocent of this attack. The reason I'm being attacked is because of my massive influence, not because I've ever hurt anybody. And for you to sit here and say that everybody around you is saying you're innocent.
Okay, when I say I'm being attacked because of my massive influence, what's the Romanian government's endgame here? Because do we just, like, Romanian government prosecutors arrested Andrew Tate, and they're doing this all why? And do we have any evidence to suggest that it's a grand plot and not because there's a genuine concern that Andrew Tate might be involved in an abuse and human trafficking? Because, like, you can't just say they all hate me because they ain't me. That can't just be like your response any single time there's a case against you, right? Like OJ Simpson, just like, oh, well, the people say you murdered her. No, they just hate me because they hate me. Like that legitimately is his response to the crimes. And why is all this coming against you? Oh, they hate me because they hate me.
But that doesn't matter because the state will say they're victims and they're just going to grab everybody you know and call everybody victims, even if they say they're not, and try and put you in jail. You are describing a matrix attack. You're not describing human trafficking.
I'm describing women who are going to court to accuse you of rape and human trafficking.
We will see what women go. We will see what women go to court at the end of this trial. We'll see which women go to court.
Can I finish, please?
We'll see which women go to court.
I'm describing women who are going to court to accuse you of rape and human trafficking.
Sophie hasn't gone to court. Sophie doesn't exist.
And I'm describing women who have spoken to the BBC at length.
Sophie doesn't exist.
And other media organisations about what they say is emotional manipulation and coercion. And I'm quoting back to you your own words where you describe.
They're not my words.
Coercion.
They are her words. I mean, her words. Andrew, sorry. You turned into a woman in my head. Very sorry. They are his words. Like we all know it's his word. You can just Google it yourself, right? Does anybody in here like use Google? You can just go check. Is it just, oh, he said that isn't his word, so I don't need to go check online. I don't need to go research it. Like, did any of these people like look it up? Like look up if he actually said that? Like this is like a piece of contention that could easily be cleared up. But I know he said it. I've seen this before. He said it. Like I know he said it. Anybody who's looked at this before knows he said it. Like, and let me be clear. I'm a cursory observer. I do not follow the case day by day, but I do know he said that because I think that's one of the best pieces of evidence of his character when it comes to this issue that he has publicly revealed through his own foolishness. Like you can't just like if I publish an article, right, that was like, yes, I 100% go to like 7-Elevens with heroin and I sell it to the local population, right? I wrote it. I said that. I can't just like when asked about that later, just be like, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. Just completely just hoping that people are just going to take me on my word. And that's it.
The words you found on the internet, and Sophie doesn't exist.
Oh yeah, that's true. The article is on the internet. I published it on the internet. Ooh, you know what? We're watching this interview right now, but it's on the internet. So, I mean, truly, it could just all be fake. This could all be deepfaked. We don't know.
Move on to the next subject.
In your voice.
Move on to the next subject.
No, I think I'll stick on this one for a minute. So there's other places in that same website where you say you get girls to fall in love with you and they do it because they love you, because they want to do what you say. Convincing women to take part in some kind of business arrangement doesn't work long term because they're emotional. You've got to get them to fall in love with you. That's coercion, that's emotional manipulation, that's abuse.
What you've found are clips from the internet.
I'm sorry, dog. Okay, then give the context to the clips. Because originally he said it isn't real. So there's two strategies here. Either A, he has to commit that it isn't real, or B, he has to say it is real, or but it's out of context. Honestly, I think like since it's already out there, I think I would go with the second option, but it seems he's just bet on the option that nobody in his fan base will actually go and check themselves.
Text from the internet, and you're going to sit here and tell me that that's the reason I should be
your website.
That's not what she said. She's bringing these quotes to you, like you say you didn't emotionally manipulate these women, but this you're clearly describing here on your website and in these clips that your job was emotionally manipulate women. What's your response? You found that on the internet.
Your words.
It's on my website.
Yes, it is.
Could you imagine like Dmitry Peskov, like Putin's press secretary, is responding like a question from, I don't know, like an NPR journalist? So we have footage of this Russian soldier being executed with a sledgehammer. It was actually posted by media channels associated with the Wagner Group. It looks like, they were very open and proud about this. What do you have to say? What, did you find that on Telegram? What, did you find that on the internet? Well, I'm sure the UN would respect that defense.
No, it's not. Check my website. Next.
I'm sorry, dude. He just said no. Could you imagine like they caught Adolf Hitler. He didn't go like he didn't do that. They caught him and they brought him in front of a tribunal and they're like, sir, In Mein Kampf, you clearly lay out your plans here, 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 here. And he just responds, where'd you get that? A library? Yeah, a lot of things are in libraries. Come on, dog.
It's the website you've taken down, and I wonder why those comments have been taken down.
No website's been taken down. My website is the same. It's been the same for a very long time.
The comments on this website, on the original website, have been taken down, and I wonder why.
You are accusing me, I'm guessing, what you're trying to say is you're accusing me and you're trying to say that I'm guilty of the things I'm accused of and I'm emotionally manipulating people.
I'm saying that you have said you emotionally manipulated people here for your own financial gain.
No, absolutely not.
And I'm asking you about that.
Absolutely not.
She's not even talking about him openly admitting to stealing money from the cab girls working for him by telling them that it was taxes and that they're too dumb to notice. Like, dude, she has so much more ammunition. But I think it's smart for her to like stand here and just hold him down on the point, because the longer she holds him down on the point, I think the more likely that somebody eventually goes online and Googles it and finds out, oh wait, he did actually say that.
The answer. I look forward to the end of this trial. I look forward to clearing my name. I look forward to the BBC and the legacy media having to say not guilty and having to tell the truth. As I've said before, the only other person who's been found, despite absolute...
By the way, again, if he's found not guilty, that doesn't mean he didn't say it. He could be admitting to emotional manipulation online, and he could be admitting to like that type of horrible stuff on the internet, and there could still not be enough evidence to find him guilty of human trafficking. That could still be true.
Rigorous, destructive levels of investigation and prodding into my life is this imaginary Sophie by the BBC who doesn't exist. And if you were to find any single other man on earth and try and analyze his life forensically to the level they've done mine, you would find genuine damage to people. I don't hurt people.
He doesn't hurt people at all.
It's not just...
Thousands of women have come out in my defense. Thousands of women have come out in my defense, and you don't...
I'm sorry, dog. Okay. If somebody's like a serial murderer, right? And they know what they're doing, or at least they have some idea of they know what they're doing. I assume most serial murderers don't murder the majority of people they interact with, right? So I'm sure they could probably be like, well, my mailman can vouch for me and never murdered him. My cousin didn't murder him, never murdered me, Ma. Never murdered Susan down the street. I have all these people who vow that I never murdered them. Yet you're saying I murdered all these people? Pfft, ridiculous.
Not mention that. Thousands of women come out in my defense.
Because the problem is when women accuse you of serious crimes.
Okay.
And emotional manipulation.
Well, let's agree that
That's
thousands
the
of women. Let's agree that
it's
thousands.
not the problem that some people say you haven't done it. It's a problem that some people say you have.
Thousands of women come out in my defense, and as we stand right now, we have an open criminal investigation. The people who are involved in the criminal investigation.
If let's say somebody rapes a woman, right? Horrible tragedy. I'm assuming every rapist knows other women in their life that can come to their defense and say they didn't rape me. Especially if you have a gigantic fan base as well and a lot of money and influence. Like whether or not other women come forward and say he never raped me, especially if some of these women are actively working for you, I don't think that's a strong enough defense. I'm sure there's a lot of people Al Capone interacted with that could say, never shot me, never, he never mugged me. He never murdered anyone I know.
We're not victims of anything. Andrew's fine, he's never hurt us. You're saying, no, I have the opposite to that. I have to counter that. I have someone called Sophie with no face, a fake name, who we've invented, and she's not accusing you of anything criminal. So I don't see the whole point you're trying to make here.
You say you manipulate women, they say you manipulate women. Why wouldn't people think you do?
I'm not here. Do you think I'm manipulating you?
I'm asking you about the testimony you've given on your website and the testimony women have given
You've
about
printed
it.
something off that you found on Reddit, and you're going to...
Why does he keep bringing it? Why is it Reddit now? Why is it Reddit? It's a BBC interviewer. Why would it be Reddit?
sit here and say that makes...
Was he just not ready for this at all? This is the BBC. Like what? It feels like he wasn't ready for this interview at all.
Be a bad person. I'm saying that you should know better as a journalist and do some proper journalism. Let's investigate the fact that thousands...
I think you should answer my questions properly.
I am.
Dylan, so you really link a conversation from Andrew Tate to a BBC guy with like mass murderers? Come on, man, let's be real. Okay, so I'm gonna number one, we're talking about like rape and stuff here. Okay. So I feel like we're already talking about some pretty like horrible crimes, and human trafficking, by the way. I could, like, if there's like a list of like top 10 worst crimes, I think human trafficking would probably be up there, right? There's a reason why when you look at like QAnon conspiracy theorists, the main bad guy in all of them are the like human traffickers, right? Because it's an evil thing to do, to remove someone's sovereignty in that way, or to manipulate people in a way. It's a very bad thing to do. My only point is that everybody who's a criminal, definitely if they're a criminal with a lot of influence, can pull on a ton of people to say, they never committed that crime to me. They never did that to me. Like, you don't think that there are people out there with a ton of money and influence who could just find like thousands of people to say, yeah, they didn't murder me. And it's probably true. He didn't murder a lot of people, a murderer, or in this case, a rapist or a human trafficker. I'm sure he can pull on a lot of people to say that. Him saying that there are people who have come to my defense doesn't mean anything, really.
I already have, and we should move on. She's just trying to start arguing.
It's not only about the criminal.
Well, no, Andrew Tate denying what he said in actuality. If anything, that's starting the argument. If I did an interview with somebody and they would say, Dylan, you said you supported Ukraine. No, I didn't. I didn't say I supported Ukraine. What? You did on multiple occasions. No, I didn't. Well, you said it on your YouTube video. You found that on the internet. You see how ridiculous that conversation would be? All of you guys know that I said I supported Ukraine. Everybody knows I said I supported Ukraine. You can go online and find the public record of it. You can go online and find the public record of Andrew Tate saying these things. It's just the people who ignore this. It's just straight up, I like Andrew Tate. I don't want to accept he said that. He said he didn't say it, so I'm just going to buy what he said.
Allegations. It's a much bigger issue. You've got children's organisations in the UK, you've got rape organisations in the UK, you've got the police naming you by name as someone who has a harmful influence on children and on women in the UK and elsewhere because of the things you say, because of the way you present gender relations, the way you say men should treat women.
That's very upsetting. And the reason that's very upsetting is because I know that's not true. I'm genuinely a good person. I believe my impact on the world is positive. In fact, if you were to read the comment section of...
I'm genuinely a good person. You know what? If there's anybody who is an unbiased source on if Andrew Tate's a good person or not, it is Andrew Tate.
Any video I post, especially by the legacy media, 95% of the population agree with me. Most people know that things...
95% of the population agree with you. I'm sorry, man. This is not even... Obviously, he's just trying to make his case. So I don't even necessarily think that he's living in a bubble. But a lot of people who would hear this and believe it, you're living in a bubble. You're living in a terminally online bubble in the Andrew Tate space. If you genuinely believe that 95% of the population believe that. He doesn't have any polls to pull on. It's just if you look at the YouTube comment section, if you look at the comment section on Instagram, if you look at like all of the DMs I get on Twitter or wherever, all these people are saying that they agree with me. Yeah, the people who follow you on the internet and follow your social media accounts, they're going to say they agree with you. But the vast majority of the population, 95%, no, you have no reason to believe that.
I say are positive. Legacy...
Andrew Tate has the money to poll it. If he wants to, go poll it. I would love to actually see the polling data on that.
Media as a whole has lost all its credibility in the last 3 to 4 years. Nobody believes it. And it's a shame, it's a massive shame that the BBC come here and try and push and purport this idea that I'm a dangerous person. I'm anti-drugs, so I've never pushed drugs or any...
So, sir, you said in this clip that you emotionally manipulate women in order to get them into the webcam industry. Here's another clip where you say steal their taxes. Here's this clip. Here's that clip. Nuh-uh. And don't do drugs. Wow. Congratulations. This is a fantastic defense.
Drugs, I'm anti-violence. The UK is facing a knife crime epidemic, and they're going to sit here and say that I'm...
Hey, I'm not stabbing people I'm not encouraging people to stab randos in the public. I'm not encouraging people to snort fentanyl. How can I be a bad guy if I'm not snorting fentanyl with the kids and telling them to do the what's that challenge everybody did where they like take, what's that medicine? It's that like medicine you take a very large amount of. It could be it's not the NyQuil challenge. What's it called? Oh my God, how do I not know this? I've mocked this challenge in the past before because it's unbelievably dangerous. Oh God, somebody in chat remind me. Come on. The Benadryl challenge. Yeah, he's not encouraging people to go do the Benadryl challenge and meet God, right? Yeah, that's not what they're accusing you of. None of these are things that they told you that you're accused of. Human trafficking is still a pretty bad thing, right? You don't need to have done every crime in the world to be a bad influence or to be doing, crimes.
The most dangerous man in the UK.
You have said you're the most dangerous man in the world.
I want to see George Santos use the same defense. So people say I committed fraud. People say I lied on all these documents. People say that, I committed like 12 different crimes. But you know what I didn't do? Terrorism. Strong case, man. Let him out.
I've said I'm the most dangerous man in the world.
You've also said that a woman's intimate parts belong to her male partner. I'm glad you find that funny.
I find it funny that you're sitting here saying that I've said I'm the most dangerous man in the world, and you believe that's. When did I say that?
I'm asking if you believe it.
No, you said you're the most dangerous man in the world. Is that some kind of proof that I'm dangerous? Am I Dr. Evil now? I'm telling you that it's very upsetting that you're going to sit here and that certain.
I don't know why she would move on to that. That's a much weaker point.
Organizations in the world are going to try and pretend that I'm the biggest force of evil on earth when I'm genuinely a force for good.
You have said.
I'm genuinely a force for
Not
good.
what I've said.
And the reason they're doing this is because of the.
He's genuinely a force for good. What's the positive stuff? What's the positive impact Tate is having outside of the negative impact Tate is having? When he says he's a force for good, like I'm sorry, man. If I came on here and said, hey guys, I'm a force for good, I'd feel like an asshole or a prick saying that because it just feels like I'm pumping up my own ego. How can I, from my position, possibly know if I'm a force for good or not? I'd like to be. I hope to God that when I leave this planet, I did more good than I did bad, and I contributed more than I took out of the world. I really hope that I can say that when I finally close my eyes and I go to whatever is after whatever, this existence, this plane. But if I was to go out and say I'm a good person on the deathbed, even on the deathbed, that would be cringe. That would be very non-alpha. I'll put it that way. Why does he just keep repeating he's a good person? It's like, sir, you said this about human trafficking. I'm a good person. I'm a good person. You found that on the internet. I'm a good person. I'm a good person. Respect me. This is not a debate. Respect me. Like, this feels like a child, man.
Influence I have over the youth, and they don't like that I'm telling the youth to think outside of the matrix and ignore things like the BBC, which come here with loaded questions and false narratives and try and paint innocent people as guilty.
You've said women's intimate parts belong to their male partner.
I said that if a woman marries a man.
See, why would she bring this? Is so much a weaker point. This is a weaker point. Oh my God. Whatever.
Takes his last name and traditionally the man gives her away. I've been pushing.
I think he looks super weak on that, but I guess for the BBC, and I understand, okay, as somebody who's had to interview people before, even if someone keeps dodging, eventually you have to move on, or the whole interview is just going to be you asking one question and them coping and seething. And obviously you're a news organization and you want more responses. So I get that she's moving on, but God, man, the first 1/3 of this was a bloodbath.
Traditional religious beliefs, because I'm a religious man, and traditional beliefs in regards to marriage, which everybody accepted 10 to 15 years ago.
So that's
not a crazy conspiracy theory. But if you're going to sit here and say that me believing a woman should take a man's last name in marriage makes me the most dangerous man in the world, then you're just going to lose even more credibility than the BBC's already lost in the last 4 to 5 years. If that's your point, if that's your narrative you want to push,
say that
good
men
luck.
should be able to sleep with a lot of women outside marriage. That doesn't sound very religious or very
That's not what I said they should be able to. I said a lot of high-value men, a lot of rich men do it. And then we discussed at length on podcasts why rich men do it. And we also discussed why women decide to be unfaithful. It's not a gendered argument. We discussed unfaithfulness as a whole. What are the reasons and motivations for men and what are the reasons and motivations for women? Because you have no time to actually watch my content, because you have no time to actually watch my content at length and understand what I'm saying, you just come here with a small snippet which has been provided to you on a piece of paper.
3 times doesn't make it true.
No, completely. You don't have a clue what I say or what I talk about. You never watch my content. You have small pieces of paper, small...
Okay, so now it's not, it's off the internet. Now it's not, it's off Reddit. Now it's because it was on a piece of paper. Because you took information from a piece of paper. Dude, this is, okay, this is a semi-genuine question. Has Andrew Tate ever talked about a history of mental, how do I say this in a very non-offensive, mental, I know when I have ADHD and sometimes that means I can get distracted in conversation. And I can kind of leave the point. And then you can sometimes see it in my responses during debates and conversations. I'll kind of wander off and I'll ramble a little too much. And that's because the ADHD. Does he Does he have anything where like he just forgets? Like, does he have like short-term memory? He just forgets he's already made this point like 20 times, and it was dumb the first time he said it, and it's dumb the 20th time he said it. He's been kicked in the head a lot. I guess that could be it. I guess it could be that. Also, him saying that she doesn't have any idea what he said or what he has said is strange, considering she seems to have a better record of the actual statements he's made on his website and on video in audio form, which people can go look up right now, than even he does, as he denies the things we know he said. If anything, she seems to be in better touch with Andrew Tate's statements than Andrew Tate himself. Unless, of course, which I think this is likely, he's just pretending he doesn't know he said that.
Clips on a piece of paper and you're trying to pretend I've said evil things. And then you're going to say I'm the most dangerous man in the world, which is truly laughable.
You said that, not me.
Okay. Do you believe I'm the most dangerous man in the world, Lucy?
I'm not answering your questions.
Well then we need to change the dynamic of this interview because, and I'll make this clear, I allowed you into my home.
I don't know why she brought that up, by the way. You've said you're the most dangerous man in the world. Like, Andrew Tate's very egotistical. He says a lot of crazy shit like that, but it's not an important point. It's not an important question. I don't even know why she would bring it up.
I'm doing you a favor, giving you the first interview I'm giving to the public. You don't come here with a position of authority. You're not the police. I don't respect the BBC. I don't know you. You do not come here with a position of authority over me. We are equals. We are people. We're citizens of the world, and we sit here. We're citizens of the. What does he do? Is he okay? What? Dude, this is not. I don't. Has he, I mean, I know he's been interviewed by, like, traditional media outlets before. What is going on here? I am so confused. What was his strategy with this interview? Did he think he would not be asked about his previous statements? 90% of what he said so far has been either repeating the old dumb points he's made, asserting that he's a good person, or saying that he's helping them out and the BBC sucks, you're irrelevant, etc. Like 90% of this is just him acting like a hype beast. Here as equals, and I see you as my equal, and if you ask me questions, I can ask you questions back. For you to come here and sit down and pretend you're the Gestapo and that you don't have to answer my questions is disingenuous because I don't owe you anything.
Asking questions and you answer.
But I don't owe, no,
however you want.
This is a conversation, and I don't owe you any degree of authority over me. So let's make that clear, and that doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman or from the BBC or the CNN. I'm here to answer your questions and be honest with you and do you a favor.
Great.
And I'm doing you a favor, but you come here with loaded questions, you're trying to paint a narrative of me which is negative.
Loaded questions, reading your own statements back to you.
I'm asking you about things
fine.
you've said that people are concerned.
Not to mention, she's only asked like 4 or 5 questions, by the way. They haven't even gotten that deep into the interview because he keeps pivoting and jostling around and asserting how great of a guy he is and how everyone loves him and he's fantastic and 95% of the people all around him because he's so great and fantastic.
And that's fine, but you're not going to sit here and say you don't answer my questions because you're not above me.
This is also not supposed to be a third degree, it's supposed to be a conversation.
Absolutely.
Well, it would help if you answered the question.
I've answered every question so far.
Let me ask you another question.
Sure.
You have said that a woman's intimate parts belong to her male partner, and if she goes on OnlyFans, he is entitled to a cut of her income.
That is pretty wild, actually. I didn't hear the rest of that before. Actually, I thought it was like a weird kind of like, marriage thing, which I mean I disagree with, but that I felt like in comparison to what she had on him before, it was a weaker point. But that's actually wild.
You are extremely. It's actually very confusing to me why you're going to sit here, take long format podcasts I've done, which are 3 or 4 hours long, in context.
Dude, he did the same thing during the Piers Morgan interview where he just said, "Oh, that's all out of context." But then, like, will refuse to elaborate exactly on what the context is, or refuse to elaborate how it has been misinterpreted.
Sat with OnlyFans girls, 10 or 15 OnlyFans girls, where we've been joking back and forth, ignore every comment and satirical comment and.
So is he saying it's a joke? He didn't say it's a joke. He's just saying that they were joking.
Sarcastic comment that the females have made, and then come along and say, "You said this," and that. And you're the
So was it sarcastic? Did he not actually mean it?
most evil man in the world. I don't know if you understand what sarcasm is. I don't know if you understand what sarcasm is. I don't know if you understand what context is. I don't know if you understand.
Wait, so okay, is it a statement that needs context, as in there's context that's been left out that makes the statement better, or is it sarcasm, or is the context that it was sarcasm? It wasn't a joke. I've seen the video at length. Obviously, I'm not going to take one of the Matrix's agents, which often hide in the DylanBurns TV chat at face value. I'm not going to take Immortal Phoenix, a known agent of the Matrix's opinion on whether he said that or not.
Understand what satirical content.
So you're saying it's sarcastic?
I'm saying it was a very interesting talk show, and for you to sit here and say that that is my.
Wait, what? So she asked the logical question. So you're saying it's sarcastic?
I'm saying it was a very interesting talk show.
So why did you even talk about sarcasm? If you're not, she asked you it's sarcastic, and then you won't even answer if it's sarcastic.
And for you to sit here and say that that is my true core beliefs and that makes me a bad person.
Is it? Yeah, she's asking you. That's how an interview works. They're asking you about your previous statements, seeing if you defended, if you've changed, or it, you know, gives you an opportunity to give context. You know what she could have done? You know what the BBC interview could have done? Instead of interviewing you, they could have just been like, here's all the terrible things Andrew Tate said. I did not ask him about him. I did not ask him for context. I did not bring these questions to him. Instead, they're here bringing these questions, bringing these statements to him, and he's just denying their existence when we all know they exist, or he calls for context while providing none of it, calls it sarcasm before then, well, actually, no, he didn't call it sarcasm. He's not asserting that it's sarcasm. He's just saying that, you know, it was an interesting show. What is he doing? Why did he post this? Does he legitimately thinks this makes him look good, and other people legitimately thinks he looks good. This is the type of stuff when I read these comment sections, I start to think like, wow, maybe universal suffrage, you know, maybe it wasn't the smartest idea. I mean, everyone, including everyone I see in the YouTube comment section, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Is disingenuous.
Is it?
Of course not.
Was it sarcasm?
Absolutely. You should watch the
There it is. It is. There it is. It took them fucking long enough to answer the question. It was sarcasm. Does anybody have the actual clip? I want to see if it was sarcasm.
show.
You were being sarcastic when you said, let me just clarify.
You should watch the show.
Let me clarify for the audience. You were being sarcastic when you said a woman's intimate parts belong to her male partner.
No.
You didn't believe that.
No, it's not that. It's that.
Pick a fucking lane, man. You can't do. I feel like his strategy is literally, it's like if this is a Pokemon battle, it's just him constantly casting like confusion over and over and over and over and over.
That you haven't watched the show at length, and you should have, because the woman was saying, my man's car belongs to me because he's my man.
You can see how dead serious. Now he says it's sarcasm. Now it's not sarcasm. What is it? What? I'm so confused, dog. Go check it out. Does anybody have the vid? I don't have the vid. If somebody's got the, like, oh, is this it?
You say a lot of stuff about women like that they're your property.
That's not what I said. I was talking about an OnlyFans company when that question was asked. But I said that if a woman is going out with a man, she belongs to that man. That's his woman. So if she wants to do OnlyFans, she owes him some money because she's his.
Well, that's crazy. That one's crazy.
So you think that a man going out with a girl, that's just your property?
That one was nuts.
I'm nuts now. Good.
If a guy and a girl is dating and a girl does OnlyFans, she owes him a cut?
She is his girl.
But what does that have to do with anything?
Because she's his.
So that is you saying that women are your property.
It's not about being property. It's about the fact that she belongs to him.
Okay, no, dude, this isn't sarcasm, man. Why did he say it was sarcasm? That's not sarcasm, dude. He's just lying.
Man, and she was on OnlyFans. And then 20 minutes later, when she said she was on OnlyFans, I said, well, you're selling your body, that belongs to him because he's your man. And she laughed. She laughed and she said, ha ha ha, yeah, that's probably true.
He's doubling down. He was given pushback.
If you watch the show,
I'm sorry, did I cut off at a point? Can we go back? Let's watch it again. Okay, maybe I'm misinterpreting.
You say a lot of stuff.
Okay, one more time, okay?
About women like that they're your property.
That's not what I said. I was talking about an OnlyFans company when that question was asked. But I said that if a woman is going out with a man, she belongs to that man. That's his woman. So if she wants to do OnlyFans, she owes him some money because she's his.
Well, that's crazy. That one's crazy.
So you think that a man going out with a girl, that's just your property?
That one was nuts.
I'm nuts now. Good.
If a guy and a girl is dating and a girl does OnlyFans, she owes him a cut?
She is his girl.
But what does that have to do with anything?
Because she's his.
So that is you saying that women are your property.
It's not about being property. It's about the fact that she belongs to him and the intimate parts of her body belong to him because they're in a relationship. And if she wants to sell those, he has a stake in those intimate parts of her body.
So it's reverse. Male porn star owes the woman.
I don't know, because I think the women belong to the man. I think the woman's
that's inherently where you get called sexist for.
Is there anything else in here that is there like a longer, watch the full episode here. Let's see if it, okay, I'm gonna do a deep dive. Okay, let's do a, can we get, is there a transcript for this? Is there a place where I can see the transcript? Usually there's a transcript option or like a few buttons here you can click to check out the full transcript. How much do the women are smart as men, personal experience, thoughts on the Matrix, etc., etc., etc. You'll just waste your time. Okay, you're right. You're probably right. It's not.
It will make sense. For you to come here with doing no research at all and then say, I don't understand what I'm talking about, but I've got this piece of paper with a few things printed off, that's why you're saying the silly things you're saying. You should watch the show, do some research.
Do you believe it?
You already answered.
I've already answered the question.
Not really.
Of course I have. Can we move on? I've answered the question.
Do you
3v1,
believe that
3v1.
intimate parts belong to her male partner?
Of course not. I've just answered the question.
You just answered that. You said exactly that.
Slippery.
And does this woman believe that her man's car belongs to her? It's not a gendered argument. I really think.
Wait. Okay. He just said he doesn't believe it before then making an argument in favor.
That it's genuinely sad that when the BBC has a chance to finally interview me at the end of all this Matrix attack, that they don't come here with any kind of genuine openness to try and understand my influence over the world, or the things I push, or what I'm trying to teach the world, or why I'm a good influence on the world, because I am a massively good influence.
What he wanted in this interview was for them to come on and be like, Tate, why is everyone so mean to you? Tate, what does anybody think about, like, what if the woman wanted to be trafficked? Tate, like why does everybody do mean things like quote you and research your statements and correct you when you lie? Why do they do that? That's so mean of them. What did he think this interview was going to be? What was his what was his genuine belief on how this interview was going to go? I'm so fucking confused. Like, how he thought this looks good. You have to be a pretty knuckle dragging, window licking, doorknob sucking fool to think that Andrew Tate genuinely looks good outside of your tiny little cult of Tate to anyone outside the public, like the 95% of people he suggests support him.
Said they come here with pieces of paper with printed out excerpts from 5-year-old podcasts taken out of context to attempt the same Matrix attack on me, which has been attempted endlessly. Every single person in Legacy Media has already tried this, and it doesn't work. I really encourage you to read the comment section on YouTube when this goes on YouTube, and you will see that nobody believes.
Who cares? Have you ever been into a YouTube comment section? It is some of the worst people, some of the worst, dumbest people in the world. Not mine, of course. My YouTube commenters are, of course, all the smartest because they agree with me. And as like Tate said, I'm a great, wonderful, perfect person. And I say that as an unbiased source. Immortal Phoenix, thank you so much for the primer being sub for 6 months. The Matrix will fund this channel. Thank you. Thank you. And hey, if you're a member of the Matrix, you can go to DylanBurns.tv, DylanBurns.tv, go to my website, make an account, and type in my chat and have your name come up on screen and donate, and none of the money goes to YouTube, none of the money goes to Jeff Bezos, all the money goes to me, my editors, and the work that I'm doing here journalistically in Ukraine.
It's a word you're saying.
The reason I'm asking you about these comments is because we've got the chief executive of Rape Crisis naming you individually as spreading a dangerous ideology of misogynistic rape culture.
Absolute.
It's the comments you make that are leading people to say things like
absolute
this.
Garbage.
National organizations who are saying that, are blaming you for increasing levels of misogyny. Schools that are saying they are having increased incidents of girls being attacked, of female teachers being harassed.
If that was
by
true,
pupils,
because
of you and your teaching.
Well, that's absolute garbage. I have never ever encourage a student to attack a teacher, male or female, ever. I preach hard work, discipline. I'm an athlete. I preach anti-drug. I preach religion. I preach no alcohol. I preach no knife crime. Every single.
What the fuck does that mean? I preach don't stab people. Brilliant. Good job.
problem with modern society I'm against. I'm teaching young men.
I teach young men not to stab.
I'm teaching young men to be
1 second. Chat. We need to have a heart-to-heart, okay? No stabby. No shooty. No rapey. Banned. If you do that, you're cringe. There you go. There's your heart-to-heart.
disciplined, to be diligent, to listen, to train, to work hard, to be exactly like me, with no criminal record, never even yet charged in this 14-month Matrix investigation. And I'm saying that...
What about Bommy? Well, maybe a little, but no Bommy. I'm not even playing with YouTube TOS, not even.
Men grew up like me, which are hardworking and diligent and some emotional control and stoic. We're going to have a better society, not a worse society. To sit here and say that schools in England, which is a failing nation, which has knife crime going through the roof, violence going through the roof, men's mental health going through the roof, and they're going to all blame me because I appeared on the internet 1 year ago, is disingenuous. It's disingenuous. And also,
financial success.
Why are we even talking about knife crime? Nobody brought up knife. Why are we talking? How did knife crime get into this? He stands against murder. Stands against murder. I'm very proud of him.
With a Bugatti and a cigar, but it comes with a side order of misogyny.
How does having a Bugatti and a cigar come with misogyny?
Because it's all mixed together in what you teach. You teach that a woman, if a woman comes home and accuses you of cheating, you should hit her with a machete, shove her up.
Is that what I teach?
That's what you say.
No, if you actually watch the clip, it will be about the woman attacking me with a machete. As usual.
This is a wild, actually. I actually don't know. I've never heard of this clip before. Does anybody know about this machete clip? I actually, that is hard to believe. I find it hard to believe. As unattuned to optics as Andrew Tate is when it comes to the general public, even though he's very good at keeping his base with him, I find it hard to believe that he said hit a woman with a machete. I actually don't believe that. We got to see it. Does anybody have that clip? I actually don't believe that. I won't believe that at face value. The other things I believe because I've heard him say it. I've seen him say it. This one I feel like Andrew Tate finally got her on something.
Watched the video, taken out of context, flipped it, and attempted to attack me with a small excerpt. Let me tell you something, Lucy. I'm sure you're a very nice person. I'm sure you're a fantastic person. But if I were to take everything you've ever said online and just take small excerpts out of context, I could make you look like a misogynist. I guarantee it. In fact, I might actually do that. And then you're going to sit here and say, oh shit, I'm a misogynist because my clips have been taken out of context. If you refuse to watch anything at length and understand it, then that's what's going to happen.
The National Police Chiefs League for Violence Against Women, the NSPCC, Rape Crisis, Safer Schools, they are all naming you as being behind.
All Matrix, every single one, all of them.
An epidemic of misogyny, even amongst primary school children.
The idea that I made primary school children misogynistic because I own a nice car. Is that your argument?
I will say that's not what she said, dude. It's so unbelievably bad faith. But I can tell you, like, obviously, Andrew Tate is not responsible for everything a primary school child does, even if they say they were inspired by Tate. Because like children are dumb and they can misinterpret things and children make a lot of mistakes. But what I can say is that I know teachers who have told me about kids getting rowdy and saying wild things in class about women and women's rights after becoming big fans of Andrew Tate. And it's inspiring some pretty crazy beliefs amongst young people. I don't know exactly how it got into the feeds of young people. I assume through YouTube shorts and TikTok clips or however. I'm not an expert on the algorithm, even though I'm on Twitch and YouTube. But it is true that there are primary school children that are paying a lot of attention to what Andrew Tate has to say. And I do not think they should be taking away the lesson that you deserve a cut of your girl's OnlyFans profit.
The misogyny that comes along with it.
Oh, owning a nice car is misogynist.
No, it's the misogyny that comes along with it.
How does misogyny come along with owning a nice car?
Because you have an image of financial
I'm glad you're answering my questions now. We finally got the dynamic.
You have an image of financial
success. She's answering my questions, as she should.
Excuse me. You have an image of financial success, but it comes along with attitudes towards women that are really problematic.
My attitude.
Here's a question, and I'm genuinely asking this. Do you think he would behave this way if it was a man interviewing him? I actually don't know. I really don't. Oh. Did you just open the door? Oh. Ah. Hello? Oh, are you okay? Are you okay? Oh, snap. I think the dog's freaking out. I don't know what's up. You okay? What's wrong? The dog opened the door. The dog's name's Oscar, by the way. Nope, dog. Those are wires. Do not mess with those. Okay. Okay, I think, guys, I gotta go. I think the dog wants attention, okay? Okay. Whoa. Nope. Okay, boys, I need to go. Sorry. Good segment, but dog wants attention, okay? Very, very sorry. Let's end it, and so I think the dog wants out. Very sorry. You just have to go without seeing the last 30 of this debate. Last thing I'll say about this is Andrew Tate acted like a child. I think you have to really be a sycophant of his to think he ended up coming off good here. A lot of the things he said are just verifiably false. I do think that one machete clip, I find that hard to believe, but have to go see that. I think that's probably the one L she probably took in this interaction. And I do wonder if the dynamics of this interview would have changed if it was a man. I don't know. That's a genuine question. Actually, answer that in the comments when this is posted on DylanBurnsLIVE. Do you think the dynamic of the interview would have changed if it was a man? That's interesting.